So long story short, I am not good at Minecraft Hardcore, but I thought I'd check out how it would be to play Minecraft Hardcore, but only in the caves of Minecraft 1.17. So I loaded up a world and I went right into it. As you guys saw, it did not go very well. So I actually ended up loading up 3 different worlds and just kind of checking out how it would be to survive in Minecraft Hardcore in the caves of Minecraft 1.17. The first thing I did in every world was to get some wood, just some basics before going down. Unfortunately, in the first 2 worlds I didn't get food and I just dove straight into the caves, but in the 3rd world I decided to switch it up and go in a little bit more prepared. Either way though, it really didn't work out well for me and I ended up dying every single time. So let's jump right into it. Mining in 1.17 is a completely different field than anything we've seen before. Of course, there's some similarities in some of the caves, but with all the new huge caves, with all the water that's filling some of the caves, it is completely new territory. And this, of course, wasn't even in a world where we have biomes underground. So I'm mining right now and there's no dripstone caves, there's no lush caves, there's nothing like that. This is just the huge caves, the different mine shafts, things like that, and it is completely wild to me. I don't even know how to mine anymore, really. I spent a lot of my time on these mining trips that I did throughout the 3 worlds. I spent a lot of time swimming, I spent a lot of time in huge open areas, and I know you might have seen other content creators making videos where diamonds are really easy to find, but in recent snapshots they've actually changed it so that you can't find them just open to the air as much anymore. It of course is still a thing, you'll still be able to see diamonds every once in a while, but they've reduced the rates a lot and that has made it much more difficult to find diamonds. Actually, throughout the 3 worlds that I did today, I never once found diamonds. I didn't try strip mining or anything like that. I wanted to try exploring caves and trying to find new things throughout those caves. So, of course, there are probably a lot better strategies than what I did, but it is very hard and very different than anything we've done before. One of the most different things, of course, is the underwater caves. Those change the game completely. The localized water levels are very cool and I really like them, and I think building around them would be very cool, but it makes caving very difficult, especially in those areas. So it's definitely a lot to think about when you're strip mining, even because you're going to run into big aquifers of water and it's going to make things a lot more difficult. I chose to do this in Minecraft Hardcore just because I knew it was going to be a challenge and I wanted to see how difficult Minecraft Hardcore was going to be in the new update. It is going to be very difficult, especially in the early days of mining. You're definitely going to want to stay above the negative Y levels because it gets very hard to find anything down there, especially because it's so dark and there's a lot of caves. So you're going to want to stay in the normal Y levels most likely and just try to find coal, iron, gold, your normal stuff. Another huge thing to think about with the upcoming 1.17 update is the fact that the warden is going to exist in the negative Y levels, and that is going to make it very difficult, especially for hardcore players, to mine down there, especially in the early days. We don't know how difficult the warden is going to be, how much health he's going to have, how hard he's going to hit yet. That is all going to be decided in future snapshots and by the final 1.17 update. But for now, all we have is speculation, and he is going to be a very hard boss to fight. We also don't know how rare the warden is going to be in the new update. It could be something that you could find every few blocks, or it could be something that you almost never see in the game and you really don't have to worry about that much, and you could just turn around and run if you do find it. There's definitely a lot of speculation at this point, but we're not going to know until we actually start getting snapshots. So for the time being, we just have to kind of think that the negative Y levels are going to be very difficult. Another huge difficulty is the huge open caves that we have. Of course, you're going to be able to see more iron, coal, things like that above the surface, but there's also going to be a lot more mobs and a lot more areas to light up. And that is going to be a huge waste of coal and a huge problem with all the mobs. I definitely had a lot of issues when I was exploring some of the open areas with just a mass amount of zombies. There was a lot of creepers, a lot of skeletons. There's definitely going to be a lot of difficulties with the huge open area. As far as strategy goes for hardcore in the new caves, I would honestly recommend trying to avoid many of the big open areas unless it's one of these aquifer caves. Most of the time you're going to find that it's going to be a lot more difficult in the open areas just because of how dark and how many mobs there is. But in the water ones, there's of course a lot less mob spawning, so you're a bit safer if you're just trying to find the ores that are on the surface. I tried swimming just from air pocket to air pocket in order to stay alive and not actually drown, but of course there's times that you don't find air pockets in time. So what I did was I just torched up and tried to make a place where I could actually breathe for a second. I just spammed torches on the wall until I had enough oxygen to continue. Of course, doors, potions, things like that, they're going to be a lot better than just torching on the wall, but I was very early in the game and I really didn't have a lot of stuff going for me. This second world ended when I tried to block up a spawner and then accidentally had a creeper behind me, and I just got very stuck. So in the third world, I decided, maybe I'll go in a little bit more prepared with some food and things like that so I can actually generate health back. I started off underwater again, but this time with some food, some torches, just things that keep me prepared. I ended up picking a bow up off a skeleton, which I never even got to use. I eventually just tried staring down through some deep slate in order to find a good level to try strip mining or find some caves, but I realized I don't actually know what the strip mine level is anymore. I don't know if it's still good to try strip mining at like Y11 or Y12, or if I should go deeper than that. Unfortunately, deep slate is actually harder to break than stone, so it takes a bit longer, so you're definitely going to run into problems with that if you're trying to strip mine at those levels. After I hit bedrock, I came back up and started swimming through the caves again, and as you notice, there are now glow squids in the caves because those are now able to spawn there, and then I started running into some problems with mobs. You are much more likely to run into mobs with the new update in these large caves because there's just so many areas for them to spawn. And I know I've talked about this in this video, but I want to just reiterate that for anybody who's thinking of playing hardcore. Definitely have a strategy and be very prepared before you go into these caves because they are much more difficult than they were before. I managed to escape those mobs and I ended up going back and swimming down into the water again just to try to find some cooler areas, things like that. But unfortunately I didn't quite make it in the water this time. I didn't find a good enough torch area and I ended up drowning. So you're of course going to want to be careful of that. Be very prepared before you go into the water, or just have a better strategy than I did by using torches because it doesn't always work. Long story short, hardcore is very difficult in 1.17, at least mining, so be careful and be prepared. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.